Hey everybody, happy Tuesday to you. Hope you're having a good week so far. Hope you're looking forward to the holiday weekend coming up, July 4th. My favorite holiday of the season. I don't know what it's going to look like this year, but normally July 4th and Memorial Day are like two of my favorite holidays of the year. So today I wanted to share a simple strategy for dealing with challenges and temptations. Now, this isn't a gimmick. This is a proven technique that works really well. There's been quite a bit of research that has gone into this. I can tell you that I have used this strategy myself. I have recommended it to other people as a coach and have gotten great feedback about it. It really does work, and it's pretty simple. So I'm going to talk today about what's called implementation intentions. Sometimes they're called pre-commitments, but the technical term, if you want to Google it and do your own research, which is something that I always recommend that people do, the technical term is implementation intentions. And what it is an if-then scenario. If this happens, then I will do this. So when we're trying to improve in any area of our life, it doesn't matter if we're talking about fitness-related things, nutrition, exercise, it could be, or sleep habits, stress management. It could be any area of your life. It could be how you do in your relationships. It could be your study habits. It could be things that you do on your job or trying to improve on the job. Whenever we're trying to improve in a specific way or in a specific area of our lives, challenges come up, obstacles present themselves. And most of the time, we fail to meet those challenges, not because we lack willpower, not because we lack fortitude, not because we're weak or we lack character, but most of the time, we fail to meet those challenges because we simply don't have a strategy for addressing those challenges. So the implementation intentions strategy, the if-then scenario, is a great way to prepare in advance for the inevitable, which is that you're going to run into challenges, you're going to run into temptation. So it works like this. The if-then part of it is that's actually how you frame the language. You actually create a sentence that says, if this happens, then I will do this. So what you're doing is you're priming your brain in advance to be vigilant and to be watchful and to be looking for a specific condition. And then when that condition presents itself, your brain recognizes it and you have a plan in place that you already designed for meeting that challenge. So it saves you from impulse decisions. It saves you from making emotional decisions. So what you do when you're creating an if-then situation is consider the things in your life that you're trying to improve. Whether it's, like I said earlier, nutrition, exercise, how you're doing on the job, whatever it is. And then think back on the challenges that have repeatedly and historically presented themselves when you've tried to make improvements in those areas in the past. Chances are that the challenges and the temptations that you run up against are the same over and over and over. And challenges are, or the likelihood is that the reason that those challenges continue to present themselves over and over and over is because you haven't figured out a specific and effective way for dealing with those challenges, for addressing those temptations. So think back historically on the obstacles that have come up that have derailed you from progressing on a particular behavior, in an area of your life, and write those challenges down. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you want to improve your nutrition, but one of the things that comes up historically that messes you up is the fact that you like to go out with your friends to eat, and whenever you go out to eat with your friends, you make decisions or choices when it comes to what you're eating that are not in alignment with your goal of putting healthier food into your body. So, on one hand, you really want to improve your nutrition, but on the other hand, you enjoy going out with your friends. You don't want to have to give up going out with your friends. So in the ideal situation, what you would do is come up with a strategy for dealing with temptation that would enable you to meet both of those objectives. Go out and have dinner with your friends and stick to eating food that you feel is in alignment with what you're trying to do as far as your nutrition is concerned. So I'll give you a specific example of an if-then scenario with regard to nutrition. If the challenge is that you want to be eating healthier food, but you have a tendency to go out to eat with your friends, and when you do that, you make terrible decisions and you eat food that is not in alignment with what you want to be eating, and then later on in the day you feel like crap about yourself, you're upset, you're depressed, you don't progress, and it's not a win for you. So here's an if-then strategy for that. If my friends want to go out to eat, then I will review the menu online and decide in advance what I'm going to order when I get to the restaurant. So what you're doing then is you're telling your brain to be aware of this condition of going out with your friends to a restaurant, but you're preparing a solution in advance to the challenge that historically presents itself of you ordering unhealthy food once you get to the restaurant. You're deciding, hey, I'm going to actually spend some time prior to going to the restaurant, and I'm going to decide in advance what I'm going to eat. I'm going to make a healthy choice so that when it comes to be my time to order, I will make a choice that I feel good about, that produces the result I want, and that doesn't cause me to backslide on my desire to improve my nutrition. So it's going to be so much easier for you to, when the waiter, the food server comes around to you and takes your order, for you to deliver the order that you want to eat from a healthy perspective, because you took the time ahead of time to review the menu and make a decision in advance. That keeps you from making that snap decision, that impulsive decision. So that's one way to prepare an implementation intention. If my friends want to go out to eat, then I will review the menu in advance and decide ahead of time what I want to eat before I go to the restaurant. Here's a pro tip to add on to that. If you're going out to the restaurant and you want to avoid ordering something that you don't feel good about, be the first person to order, or be as close to being the first person to order. We're very easily influenced by the behavior of other people. And if you're the 9th seat at the table and 8 other people order ahead of you, and they're ordering meatloaf and fettuccine Alfredo, and those are not things that you consider to be healthy, by the time it gets to you, you're going to have a hard time ordering something healthy, because we are influenced by what other people do and other people's behavior. So just a pro tip, if you want to order something healthy, or order what you really want to order when you go to a restaurant, try to be the first one to order, or to be one of the first people to order. So that's one example of an implementation intention. Here's another example. This is a simple one. Let's say that you have a habit of, getting upset and yelling at people when they cut you off on the freeway. So if you drive a lot, especially in LA, you're going to get cut off. It's just going to happen. But you have a tendency when that happens to lose your shit and start yelling and cursing at whoever it is that cuts you off. And then later on, as you cool down, you go, my God, what was that about? It's not safe. It's not necessary. There was no reason for me to elevate my stress level. Maybe the person didn't see me. Why am I getting so bent out of shape about it? So if that's something that you want to work on, then an example of an implementation intention might be, if someone cuts me off on the freeway, then I will take 3 deep breaths before I do anything. So again, you're priming your brain to be vigilant and to search for the condition of somebody cutting you off in the car, but you have a response, a solution already planned out in advance. If someone cuts me off in the car, then I will take 3 deep breaths before I do anything. That particular example could work in any number of areas. If you and your significant other have been bickering lately because you've been in quarantine together and you're in close quarters, and you want to kind of put a halt to that, that might be a strategy that you use for that. If my significant other snaps at me, then I will take 3 deep breaths before I do anything. So that's just something that you can do. That's an example of an if-then scenario, an implementation intention that you can do if somebody cuts you off in the car. Here's another one that relates to nutrition. If I want to avoid eating junk food, then I won't buy it when I shop. That sounds stupid and it sounds almost too simple and a little bit ridiculous, but it's actually really simple to follow, and it's actually very accurate and useful. If I want to avoid eating junk food, then I want to make sure that I'm not buying junk food. So prepare yourself before you go to the supermarket. If I want to make sure that I'm eating healthy, then I want to make sure that I'm not buying unhealthy food when I go to the supermarket. So that would be an implementation intention. And as a pro tip, don't shop hungry. Don't shop hungry. I make that mistake sometimes, and I come home with, unhealthy kind of junk food that I would not normally eat. You just don't make good decisions. So that's a pro tip. The other thing about not buying unhealthy food and bringing it into your home is that you're then priming your environment for success and for health. By creating an environment in which you remove the temptation of the unhealthy food, then you are not reliant upon your willpower or implementation intentions to avoid eating the unhealthy food. So by not buying the unhealthy food and bringing it into the house, there's an added benefit of producing and priming your environment for success when it comes to healthy eating. Another implementation intention that you can use from a nutrition perspective is, let's say you're at home and you go, I want to eat cookies. I want to eat some unhealthy food that I have here. Maybe you didn't actually plan ahead and you did get unhealthy food and it's sitting there in the cupboard and it's calling to you. An implementation intention could be, if I want to eat junk food, then I will wait 30 minutes and tell myself that if I still want it at that time, I can have it. So again, that would be, if I want to eat unhealthy food, then I will tell myself if I still want it in 30 minutes that I can have it. So the pro tip around that is, not only would that be a useful implementation intention because the urge comes up to eat something unhealthy, but you have a response prepared in advance for that. No, I'm not actually going to eat this unhealthy food. I'm going to tell myself, hey, chill out, wait 30 minutes. If I still want it then I can eat it. So that's a way of responding to the challenge in the moment. But as a pro tip, an extra benefit to that approach is that you're employing a strategy called delayed gratification, which has been shown in research to be effective. When you don't deny yourself having something, you're not denying yourself from having something. You're saying, I can still have this in 30 minutes if I want it. And so by not denying yourself, you're not creating a stress scenario in your brain where you just want it more. And the research shows that 30 minutes later, 40 minutes later, it's often the case that you no longer are feeling the urge to eat that food. So that's a beneficial approach for avoiding eating junk food, because it's an implementation intention, but you're combining the strategy of delayed gratification with that. Let's see, one more. As an example of an if-then scenario, let's say that you are the kind of person who says to yourself all the time that you don't have time to exercise. You can create and prepare an implementation intention for that by saying, if I tell myself that I don't have time to exercise, then I will drop down and I will do 10 push-ups right then and there. The upside in doing that is that you are disproving a limiting belief, and you are building self-efficacy. So you're dealing with the challenge that has been a recurring challenge for you of telling yourself that you don't have time to exercise. You're dealing with that right then and there by disproving that, and you're building self-efficacy by showing yourself that you do actually have time to exercise. It may not look the way that you think it should. It may not look the way that you think that you want it to look, but you are in fact making time to exercise, even if it's 30 seconds or 60 seconds. So you're building up that self-efficacy. Self-efficacy builds up confidence. Confidence fuels motivation. So again, if you find yourself saying, I don't have time to exercise, you create an implementation intention that says, if I find myself saying that I don't have time to exercise, then I will drop right down and do 10 push-ups. So there are a million different ways that you can create these pre-commitments or implementation intentions. I was just really coming off the top of my head with a half dozen examples for you. Think about it. The key to this is that you need to review the challenges that have historically presented themselves in your life when you're trying to work on improving something, and write them down. And then create these implementation intentions for each one of these challenges. Now, I will say that I don't think it's a good idea to try to run 6 to 10 of these things at the same time, because that's probably too much. But even if you practice 1 or 2 of these at a time, I think you'll find that it's really, really effective with helping you deal with challenges and helping you to avoid temptations. My suggestion would be to write down those challenges. Write out those implementation intentions in a journal. So literally write them out. If I, tell myself that I don't have time to exercise, then I will drop right down and do a 1-minute plank. Write that in your daily journal and review it frequently so that you can reinforce that and constantly be bringing it to your awareness over and over and over, so that when the challenge actually presents itself, your brain is primed, ready to recognize it, and to respond with a solution that you have mapped out in advance. That's it. Just a quick and simple strategy and technique for dealing with temptation and challenge. Try it out. I think you'll find that it's really, really useful. There's a lot of research that backs it. Let me know if you have any comments, any suggestions, and have a great week. Have a great July 4th.